Alrighty, welcome everyone to day 3 of Advent Decode. I am here on time this time. A few seconds now until the puzzle is released. Yesterday wasn't too bad, a lot of logic that I was struggling with, but hopefully today should be nice and easy still. Gonna be getting into it. Hopefully finish this in not too long, and then yeah. So, a few more seconds here until the puzzle is released, and let us get into it here. One elf has the important job of loading all of the rucksacks with supplies for the jungle journey. Unfortunately, the elf didn't quite follow the packing instructions, and so a few items now need to be rearranged. Each rucksack has 2 large compartments. All items of a given type are meant to go to exactly one of the 2 compartments. The elf that did the packing failed to follow this rule for exactly 1 item per rucksack. The elves have made a list of all the items currently in each rucksack, your puzzle inputs, but they need your help finding the errors. Every item is identified by a single lowercase or uppercase letter, that is A or A, well, okay, referred to different types of items. The list of items in each rucksack is given as all characteristics of a single line. A given rucksack always has the same number of items in each of its 2 compartments, so the first half of the characters represents items in the first compartment, while the second half characters represent the items in the second compartment. 6 rucksacks contains this, which means its first compartment contains the first half of them, while the second half contains those. Okay. Is lowercase p. Okay. Teleporters, every single item type can be converted a priority. A lowercase a through z, priorities 1 through 26. That's easy and above. Priority items that appear in both compartments of each rucksack. Okay, so this one's actually not too bad. So we're gonna be given this big long input. So we're gonna go through, and the first thing is we're first going to do a sum. We'll just call it a sum, and we're just gonna go through line by line with this of our inputs. And I'm gonna guess that these are always going to be even numbers. I don't see how they'd be odd numbers. So what we're gonna do is, I don't know, we're gonna do this. We're going to do s dot substring. I'm trying to think of like the best way to do this. Substring from 0 to s dot length divided by 2. So this gives us this is the first pack, and then the rest of them is there. So, or you know what? It might be actually easier to do 3 for loops here in a row. For int I equals 0, while I is less than s dot length divided by 2, I plus plus, and then for each I we're going to do j is the same. J is going to start at this, and while it's less than the length, j plus plus. So for each I, so we're going to do, this is the char that we're looking at, so s dot char at I. So this is the current char. We're going to basically go through each of the first half, go through each character there, and try and find it in the second half. Or we could just substring this like so. I'm gonna do this half because I'm really annoyed with copying and pasting this all over. So from half on, this is the second half. So actually we can just do a second half contains C. Right? Is there no just contains char? Really? I thought for sure. I mean, I can. I don't want to do a char sequence because I don't want to keep substringing, but I like to come back to this. I don't like this, but this is fine for now. And what we're gonna do here is we can then just do some, because then I don't have to char. Okay, ignore this for right now. So we found the duplicate at this point. So, all right, forget this. I'm gonna go back to what I was doing. I'm gonna go back to the double for loop. As nice as this, I'll have to come back and see if I can think about this. If I refactor this, but for right now, we're just gonna do it this way. I want to do this, but I don't like how Java handles the whole string bits. So I'm gonna just do a check if char at j, this is c2, j, if c equals c2, we have now found this, and this is where we would want to break out of this for loop, which is the problem. So there's no elegant way to do this in Java, is there? Java's okay. Okay. I'm getting really hung up on doing this elegantly, and I shouldn't be. So let's just ignore elegance. Is there really not a... What is a char sequence? I actually don't know like what it... I mean, I guess I could do this. I could just do just call this S2 substring from half on. I'm gonna just do S2 contains string dot value of C. I don't like this, but it works. This works. So if it does, then we break out of this loop because now we have found our duplicate, and our sum is just going to be if. Well, we can just kind of shortcut this to where if C is less than or equal to Z. Yes, because lowercase comes before uppercase. And then we can just do sum plus equals C minus A plus 1. Otherwise, that. So there is some incremented. I think that'll find each one of them. Obviously the end here will elapse some. I don't think this is all it needs to be, is it? Oh, that's just input. Is that it? Oh. Well, that's a negative number, which is not right. Did I get this backwards? Is it uppercase first? It might be uppercase first. I don't know why I thought it. I don't know why I did that one. It might be uppercase before lowercase. Might be why I'm negative. I don't feel like that's gonna be right. No. I feel like I'm missing a step here. Can I... So what was this? The example is 157. 105. Okay, now I'm close. Let me just do... What am I getting for C? P, L, P... Oh, that's actually working. Okay. Okay, so wait, so that's working. So then is this not working? These are all gonna be... Yeah. so uppercase comes first, so P, L, P. Okay, yeah, so that's right. So uppercase does come first, so that is correct. Why are my sums not right? One through 26. 27. Oh, I see. Because this needs to be plus 27. That's why I'm off. There we go. Now let's try this again. There we go. Took me a second, but there we go. Okay. Part 2. After you finish identifying misplaced items, the elves come to you with another issue. For safety, the elves are divided into 2 groups of 3. Each elf carries a badge identifies their group. For efficiency within each group of 3 elves, the badge is the only item type carried by all 3 elves. That is, if a group's badge is item B, then all 3 elves will have item type B somewhere in the rucksacks. And at most 2 of the elves will be carrying any other item type. The problem is that someone forgot to put this year's update at badges. All the badges need to be pulled. No, I wrote down the items correspond to each group's badges. Okay, what? The only way to tell which item type is the right one is by finding the one item type that is common between all 3 elves in each group. What? Each set of 3 lines in your corresponding to a single group. Each group can have a different badge item type. The first group's rucksacks are the first 3 lines. Okay, in the first group, the only item that appears in all 3 rucksacks is lowercase r. Okay. I think I understand this one. This one's a little hard to read, but it's the same concept. But instead they are grouped, the lines are in groups of 3. So no more of this, so we can ignore this now. We're going to have to do it down here. So we need to get these in groups of 3. So we're going to do for int I equals 0 while I is less than input dot size I plus equals 3. That's not an I, it's a T. So we're then going to pull all 3 and we need to find the letter that's in common. The way I'm going to do this is I'm going to do a char character. And I'm going to basically add all the characters from the first one to this and then remove them as we go through. So we're going to do then chars dot add all of inputs get 0 dot chars. It's 2 char, right? Yeah. Okay, so for char C and that. This is I, not 0. And we're just going to do chars add C. So now we've added all the chars here. Now we need to go through the rest of the other 2 and remove them. I plus 1. And what should happen is by the time we get to the end of this, we should be left with only 1, is really what should be happening. So, at the very end here, we should now only have chars get 0, and then same thing here. And now we should be able to do lap on sum. Fingers crossed. 110 is out of bounds for length. Oh, it's trying to remove a char. Can I do this? That's probably what I want to do. That way it forces it to be the boxed version. Dang, that was hopeful. Example inputs. It's 157. Sorry. 70. Okay. System.out.println. What is our character? What are we getting? J as not the right. Only item that appears in all three rucksacks is lowercase r. Okay. I did this backwards. Sorry. This leaves us with, never mind, I did this backwards. This leaves us now with the only one that's in all of them, but this is all the ones that aren't in all of them. Or aren't in, okay, I did this backwards. So what I need to do is add it. I need to add it, and only if it's removed. Okay. Has to be in all three. So if we do that, we go through, we only want the ones that are shared. So technically we only want the ones that are removed from here. Got it. I'm just gonna be lazy and do chars too. I'm gonna be lazy here, and then same thing, just flip these. That should technically work. This is ugly, but it works. All right, I'm gonna do some cleanup because this is totally ugly. I don't like how I solved this at all. But it works. There's got to be a better way to like structure that. I don't. That was a little slow today. Yeah, the first part, but I don't like how I structured this at all. All right, I'm gonna take a quick time to like clean up my logic here and maybe try and redo this, and then we'll get and explain it. Yeah, I'm not happy with how I solved this. This is not. It works, but it's not right. But at any rate, let me clean this up and I'll be right back. Alright, I went through and I'm much happier now with how this code came out. Basically, for part 1 and part 2, I was doing basically the exact same thing, just sort of slightly different. I'll talk about more, but I basically took this, ripped most logic out, and kind of condensed it down to this one method here. You'll see what I mean, because before I was really doing the same thing, just differently. But anyways, let's focus on the problem. Today, the problem was we were given, this was kind of a weird one to read, but the problem for today was that we were given a bunch of rucksacks that have 2 compartments in them. For part 1, these rucksacks have a duplicate item in both compartments. Now, the rucksack is only expressed by 1 string of letters, and the compartments are simply the half. Just the first half of the string is the first rucksack, or the first compartment. The second half is the second compartment. So splitting them in half gives you the 2 compartments. So the goal of part 1 is to find the letter that's in both compartments, that are the duplicate letter in both compartments. And then once you find that letter, then they are translated from the letter to a number that you then sum up through all of them and get your answer with. Keep minimizing the window. So to do this is not too hard. We're going to go through each inputs are each line of our input, which is each individual rucksack. Then for each individual rucksack, we're going to split it into 2 strings, which is again the 2 compartments, splitting it in half down the middle by just doing a length divided by 2. That gives us our half index, and we're going to simply just substring out them both. Then given those 2 substrings, I throw this over to this AND strings method I made, which basically just takes both strings and ANDs them together to find the characters that are shared by both. This is done by simply converting each one to a char array, looping over and iterating them and comparing them all together. And if we ever do get where 2 chars are the same, so they're in both strings, we simply append it to the string builder I have, and at the very end we return the string back from the string builder, and that gives us a string that's the AND of the 2 strings. So basically take 2 strings, AND them together, return the result as a string. In this case, we're only going to get 1 letter, so we can simply just do a char at 0. And then given that char, if it is less than the uppercase Z, this is where we get ASCII and how chars work in Java. If you're not familiar with it, look into chars more. But basically, because chars are just numbers, we can simply check if this char's number is less than the number for the ASCII Z, which is uppercase, because uppercase comes before lowercase. I don't know the reasoning there, but it does, which in that case means that we have a uppercase letter, so we can simply subtract off the uppercase A, add on 27, because actually for this problem for AOC, they have them where the uppercase letters are the upper letters. They're 27 through 50 something. But the other case though, if we're greater than the uppercase Z, that means we have a lowercase number, or lowercase letter, so subtract off lowercase a, that gives us our number, but it's because it's from 0 to 25, we need to add 1, that way it's 1 to 26. Add it to our sum, and at the very end, after ANDing all the strings together, we get our answer for part 1. Part 2 is basically the same thing, but instead of splitting our strings down the middle, or separating the strings into 2 substrings, we are actually ANDing together 3 lines of our inputs. So to accomplish that, our for loop is the exact same, but instead of going 1 by 1, we increment by 3. So every time we iterate over this, our I will be incremented up by 3. And then we simply just AND those 3 lines together. I could have taken this line here and put it here, but basically just think of this as like, you know, string 1 and string 2 and string 3. If that makes sense. Basically think of it as ANDing those together, where the ANDs are looking for the characters or the letters that are shared between all 3 strings. And so by doing that, we will then get a final string value from our AND strings method, which again will only have 1 character in it. So we can do the exact same thing we just did in part 1, which is take the character off, doing this little math here to convert the letter to the number that AOC is looking for, and then simply output our answer. And there we go. That is all it is. Again, this is much simpler, and hopefully is much easier to understand than I wrote originally. Again, I was basically just doing a bunch of ands. I was doing it very complexly and just not very straightforward. But breaking this out, if you can just think of it just as ending strings together, this makes this much easier. So at any rate, that is day 3. That's all I got for you to say. I'll see you guys tomorrow for day 4. Peace out.